Welcome back to another season of Magnify. Today I'm joined by Joe Keller, Jared Burkholder, and David Foglesong. We want to invite you to listen to a typical conversation between friends and fellow laborers in the ministry. I'm your host, Aaron Miller, pastor of equipping at Grace Baptist Church in Santa Clarita, California. Welcome to Magnify. Nice and warm in here.
The one place on campus that's the correct temperature.
Did you cold plunge?
I did.
At 32 degrees.
The water was 42 degrees.
Isn't that crazy?
I ran, though, this morning. It was cold.
Do you run before or after?
You're supposed to plunge before, but I can't get myself outside.
You can't get yourself warm, yeah, right.
Get out of bed, and then I walk out, I'm supposed to plunge. I can't do it.
You can't, yeah. Did you see my daughter running at all? No, she wakes up at 5. She runs in this. I was like, goodness,
Good for her.
Good for her, not Dad.
Oh. Did we already start?
I always just go, and then whoever walks in, walks in. Yeah.
Oh, whoever walks in?
Yeah,
Nice.
On these sorts of episodes.
It's nice to actually have a room at Grace Baptist Church that isn't Arctic cold.
I said that as the first thing
That's
I walked
exactly what Dave
in.
said.
You almost word for word.
Oh, really? It's almost like we're
It's
friends.
the first room that's actually at the temperature it should be.
I don't know this personally, but from what I've heard, and Jared, you've heard this as well, the women's bathroom downstairs is like a meat locker.
I asked Wilkie, if I give $10 more a month, could we turn the heat on? Is it 20? Like, well, just give me a number. Or slide a number across the table to
It's
me.
uncomfortable in that female restroom, isn't it, Jared?
It's so cold. It's so cold. Now, it's accentuated by the fact there's 13 stalls there.
Local church pastor arrested. Found trying to warm himself
That's
in
my
women's
safe
restroom.
place. What can I say?
No, but it's like D216 upstairs.
Oh,
That
no,
room?
we had
we
to move a meeting because we couldn't do it there. Kim brought an electric blanket to the meeting.
I finally went to Mike and I'm like, all right, just show me the plans. I want to walk the roof. I want to I need to have an answer as to why it's so Arctic cold. And we set aside time and we looked at all the plans. We walked each room. We showed how the ducting works. And yes, the answer to the question is that when the building was built, that the placement of where some of these air conditionings are and the new walls that we made created these particular pockets of where the air gets
So is that what
trapped
happens
and
when
that
you
kind
build a box and you put rooms in it? And
Yeah.
then you change the room.
No. I think we're ignoring what's really going on here. This is spiritual warfare. Obviously, this is spiritual warfare.
And there are other factors in terms of weather and that kind of stuff. And so bottom line is that there are these wonderful rooms that are Arctic.
Okay, but
Cold.
what's the solve? If that's the situation, what's the solve?
Usually if you put like oil in the door jamb and read some scriptures, they leave. It's got to be the right kind though.
Oh, hey, have you guys seen that D.A. Carson quote that's been floating around the internet about
I'm not on the internet.
about the doorpost and the conversation they had with the two Jews that were right before the exile? Did you see this?
No.
Oh, you should Google it. It's actually pretty
What would I
amazing.
Google? D.A. Carson quote on doorposts?
All I do is love you. And this is what I get. It was really remarkable. He was having a conversation between two Jewish fathers who were talking about before the last plague came. And one guy was like, yeah, hey, listen. He goes, man, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen tonight. The angel of death is going to come and that kind of thing. And he goes, yeah, well, didn't you put the blood on the doorpost and everything's prepared and you know that the Lord's kept his promises and we're going to go. And the other guy's like, yeah, no, I did all that. But it's just now I hear that there's going to be a death. And he goes, yeah, I mean, but the Lord's promise. He goes, yeah, but you have 3 boys. I only have 1 boy. And he sets it up. And then at the end, D.A. Carson says, he goes, which one of them had the angel of the Lord pass over their house? And he said, both of them did. He goes, because it wasn't about the strength of their resolve of their faith. And it was very powerful.
It was like a theatrical
yeah.
thing. Okay,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, where
Joe,
in
I
the
was not
Bible is
tracking.
this found?
There's these 2 guys in Jersey, right? And they're talking about the angel of the Lord.
I got you, Joe. That I actually now want to read that now. Before I'm kind of like, what are you talking about?
I think what are you talking about is chapter 9 of my autobiography. Joe Keller, I was just trying to help. Chapter 9.
2024 is about a month old at this point. You've already backslidden in any resolutions you want to share? Jared, I'll start with you.
Not that I'm going to share.
This Friday is Quidditch Day.
Quidditch
That was
Day.
an interesting.
That's a big pivot. In terms of like where I wanted to go with this, you bring
Friday's
Quidditch.
Friday.
Oh, Quitters.
Quidditch Day.
This is Quidditch.
Oh my goodness.
Harry Potter.
Do I need to? You know what? Hold on a second.
Bye, Joe. All right, now we can do the podcast. Oh,
Hey guys, what are you doing?
How's
How's it going?
It's
You
warm
guys
in here,
already
right?
start? Did you guys already start? Oh man, that was great. Anyway, yeah, what have you guys been talking about?
why did I hear Quidditch? You know
Huh?
what Quidditch is.
I do know what Quidditch is.
I'm sorry.
Quitters Day. So this Friday,
That came up in your
Aaron,
sermon.
to your point.
No, you
to your
preached on
point,
this. That's right.
To your point, this Friday is Quitters Day. It was really interesting. Strava, the Strava the Runners app, millions and millions of users that they did latitudinal data, and they've calculated that the second Friday of January is when all their runners on their app that started fall off.
So is it running specifically, or
Yeah.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, Strava's a communal running app. Are you on
But
Strava? Are you on Strava?
I'm not. But in this instance, running is a metaphor. Not just for exercise, David, but for life.
David, you've actually started to run.
I have.
Are you running now? I thought you were
He's
walking.
I said I was going to start walking because I'm out of shape. I couldn't even do a push-up probably 2-3 months ago. Unlike my wife, who's like, I'll just dive into it as hard as I can and I'll run for 5 miles at the start. I was like, I know myself enough that I will just die and then I'll quit and I'll hate my life and I'll be sore. So I'm like, if I can just start walking every morning and then maybe I can trot in a couple spots throughout. So now this morning I ran the whole thing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No joke.
2 miles. And I usually pass you and you're on your
That's
You're on your
fantastic.
30th mile by the time you see me, most likely.
31st
Okay.
usually. Yeah.
Wait,
It's so funny
you-
because David
Haskell.
is bundled. Like you could walk right by. I've walked right by him a couple times and not known it was him. He's got pants.
I look like
jacket,
Wisconsin in
hood,
January.
Hat, ski mask, gloves.
So how long does it take you, that loop?
35 minutes.
35 minutes.
But Jared, I mean, to your point, like I'm bundled like I'm ready for the snow, and you're out there and
Shorts and
like half a
t-shirt.
t-shirt and shorts and sweating, and you're like giving me 2 thumbs up, and I'm like,
It's usually because I'm
Hello.
sweating out last evening's Taco Bell, so it's the fire sauce coming back. Through.
What's really unsettling is when you think it is David and
Yes.
you can't confirm that.
I thought it was you one time, and I'm like waving
Yeah.
and like, why is there not?
Well, there was one time your wife, Stephanie, I thought I saw her in the Albertsons parking lot
oh, I
because it
remember
was the Honda that you all used to own. So I rolled down my window and I'm waving kind of, I guess, frantically because it's, I was like, hey, Steph.
the frantic way.
And that poor girl, by the time I got like within eyesight, I realized, I was like, oh, that is not her.
It's when the pepper spray came out. You're like, I don't think
Oh,
that's
I'm so
Stephanie.
sorry. I am so sorry.
yeah, but the running thing's going good, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping to run further.
You just keep pushing them.
You wanna
Just keep pushing.
I'm doing a
pushing.
race in March. You want to
I
join?
heard about
You want
that.
to join?
What race are you doing?
The Valencia Trail Run.
Are you really?
Yeah. Janelle and I are going to do it.
No kidding.
It's a 10K,
Yeah.
but it's like
10,000 miles.
No. They have They have a lower. They have a lower one too.
there's a 5K too. I
Yeah.
think.
There's a 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right here in San Francisco.
That one. Yep.
Yeah. That's so cool.
But the first mile is a 500-foot gain.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I've thought about training for that.
Join us.
500-foot gain. What
So
is-
for
what is that?
by comparison, from my house going up Bends to Copper Hill and then going all the way to the top of Copper Hill,
Mhm.
that's only 250 feet gained. So that's twice that
Oh,
in the
feet.
first
You're
mile.
going up.
Yeah.
So you're going up 500 feet
Yeah.
in the first mile?
Ooh.
Good for you.
Well, I'll be walking and vomiting. It'll be walk, vomit, walk, vomit.
By
walk,
the way,
vomit.
I just signed up for Rugged Maniac. In,
Whoa, what is
May.
that?
It's one of those Tough Mudder things.
Yeah, are there the electrodes?
Oh no, that's Tough Mudder. This is like Rugged Maniac. It's like the, I don't know, kind of like the junior varsity version of it, and it's in Castaic. And so me and the boys were going to do it. That was our due gift for Christmas
There you go.
Ooh, that's cool.
I like that.
because we do. Like I think I told you, we do 4 gifts.
Actually, you did not tell me that. David Hegg told me this. But
Oh,
for the
yeah.
listeners, explain this.
Heidi's heard about it somewhere, and it's been fantastic for us. Is that they only get 4 gifts at Christmas?
Right.
They get something they read, something they need, something they do, and something they want.
Nice.
And then we do the stocking stuff or whatever. But it's been a nice equalizer of, at least for like moms and dads, where you're trying to figure out how to do it. And then,
especially if you have like 4 kids or
yeah.
right.
But it's interesting, it's like you're always trying to push back against kind of the commercialism. It's like what you were preaching about, Jared. It's like you're just trying to push back against that, but you also want to have a Christmas tree. It's like that kind of thing. And so we found this thing where you can drive a truck through it, like those 4 categories.
Yep.
And then for Heidi and I, it actually has been a really fun thing for us, instead of like just blind Google searches of like, oh, maybe they might like this. You kind of think, oh, what's something that Henry would enjoy doing?
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of narrows down.
No, that's my favorite Google search of the year. What should get wives for Christmas?
It's so great.
Things wives like.
Well, buying gifts for your adult children or soon-to-be adult children is a chore.
Yeah. It's just cash.
That is
It's
difficult.
just cash.
It is cash.
It's just cash.
That and
It's more
experiences.
Yep.
And food.
Cash and experiences. Yep.
Yeah.
So funny about cash. So Audrey got some cash for Christmas, like for Christmas cards.
Yeah.
And she got like a little digital bank where you can actually put the money in it, like eats it and puts it in. Every Christmas, though, I say the same thing to my kids. Do not open presents when we're at that person's house. Keep the gifts in the boxes until we get home, because I'm telling you, you will lose something and we can never get it back. Whatever. So I probably repeated it 50 times the whole day as we're traveling different stuff. So we get home and I see the bank. I'm like, oh, you got your bank. Where's the box with the code to open it? Oh, no, Daddy. I opened it at that house and they threw it away. Sorry. I guess you'll never get in. Knowing that I could YouTube anything and like, hit it
But a
with a
good
hammer
lesson.
and it's going to
A good
open up.
lesson.
I let her go for 5 minutes just to like
Sobbing.
see what would happen.
You're just laughing
And
in
I'm
the
like,
corner.
Like eating a sandwich. He's eating a sandwich.
No, so
right? So he's
this
like,
is really
"Ah,
funny.
tell
So
me
I'm
about
like, it's on YouTube, obviously. It's super simple.
Yeah.
So she goes upstairs
You don't
frustrated.
know that.
And all I hear is the typing. She's hitting every button 4 times, almost like a system, just to open it. And then from upstairs, I
love
hear,
that.
ka-king. She's like, I did it. I opened it myself. See? Then she closed it and forgot the code.
You cannot buy those
Oh,
moments.
And so whatever, I reset
Yeah.
it and we all know the code. It was a hilarious, like you figured it out, congrats, and then you forgot it.
You ever been so upset at your kids, but at the same time you have to tip your hat and acknowledge that what they did was pretty clever?
That's like Thursday.
Oh my goodness. So it's it's like it was the week before Christmas and our Apple TV remote we just could not find. And it's frustrating because it's Christmas vacation and you want to watch movies with the family and all the stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to forego these experiences. So I go to Best Buy and I just buy a $70 remote. I stand in the long line the week before Christmas.
Oof.
I spend the money. Mike Kensington is with me actually doing this. Come Christmas morning, we tear open those gifts and there it is. There's the Apple TV remote. And she thought it was clever. And I said, you stood with me in line and watched Daddy pay money for a new remote. She goes, yeah, but you had a receipt. And so in her mind, it's fine. It's acceptable. I'm like, and she just thought, she's like, that was a Christmas gift to myself. And I enjoyed it.
Maniacal.
The receipt idea, that's smart.
I
she
said,
knew
baby, how
could
do you know
return
that I
it.
kept the receipt? She goes, you always keep the receipts. I'm like, point of fact, I actually do not. Your mother keeps all the receipts. That was an example where I'm like, I'm so frustrated with you, but honestly, good job. That's awesome.
Did you return it and get your money back?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
One time, that's
Success,
sort of thing
all the way
about
around.
Christmas gifts. This one time, my brother, we decided to exchange gifts in 1 year. Gave me a hockey puck. And I said, oh, is this like, are we going to go to a game or something? He goes, nope. So my younger brother bought me a hockey puck, and he just thought that was so
Was you
clever.
get to the Magi? You sold your hockey stick to
Yeah,
get
no,
them?
it's like, I thought it was like, oh, this is going to be experience. We're going to do whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I saw that and that's why I wanted to get you.
got
And I'm
you.
like, good night.
So random.
I was maniacal to my brother growing up. Oh man. So I just would take his stuff. Just, because he was my younger brother. And so if he had like candy, I would eat it. If he had like, whatever. I'm the kid that's like not the put together one. He's the guy that like did all the great sports, got good grades. Like he was, so anyway, so he was so frustrated that I just would be messing with his stuff that money that he got for grades, he bought this red toolbox that had a lock on it. And he had like a bunch of his stuff in there and things that was like really, really important to him. So I put it on there and I found out what the combination was and I unlocked it and took pictures with his Polaroid Insta camera of me playing and eating and doing all this stuff. And I left it in the toolbox and locked it. He came home and it was just pictures of me messing with and eating and doing all this stuff. I was that older brother.
Jared, you're an older brother. Were you?
Yeah.
Were you a mean older brother?
No, I was a protector.
Were you a protector?
No, I wasn't great. Yeah, we fought like cats and dogs.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm an older brother. I'm the oldest, but I am like 5 and 7 years removed from my 2 sisters. So I didn't really feel like Now, Dave, on the other hand, you and Ryan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was funny when you brought up that story. Like me and Ryan would always like wrestle, you know? And so every now and then there'd be like little like jabs in there.
Oh, yeah.
That was fine. But for our household growing up, if anything involved the head, a headshot, a head punch, a head slap, or whatever,
Game over.
that was the highest punishment for that child, right?
Got it.
So we learned that after a while. So I figured if we started wrestling and it started getting more brawlish, that I would just put my head anywhere I could to where the shot would be in order to get the highest discipline for him. So throughout our family, Ryan's like, yeah, you always just charged me with your head and I never knew what to do. It worked 2 or 3 times throughout our life, you know, where.
So when Ryan
you hit
tried
me in
to
the head, I'm
explain,
telling mom and dad, Mom.
Ryan tried to explain, no, his head hit my hand.
No, he fell and hit the doorknob. Hey, Grace, Pastor Jared, and I'm still talking. We're excited for Outreach Sunday coming up on February 18th. This will be an all-family Sunday at 10 a.m., where we'll all gather for one service to celebrate what the Lord is doing through our global partners throughout the world. And specifically, we'll be celebrating the Augs and their over 30 years of faithful service. This is going to be an exciting morning, so we hope you'll be there to worship and celebrate with us.
Anyone traveling in 2024? Going anywhere?
We have a family trip with all our family, my sister and brother, parents to Wyoming.
Ooh, where?
Oh, serious?
Where you going?
They have a cabin in Wyoming. We're going to go there.
That's nice
But we'll see like
territory.
Yellowstone and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That's
Dude,
beautiful.
Yellowstone. Have you been to
I
Yellowstone
have
before?
been. It's very nice.
Man, it is. I think Yellowstone is like, it feels like another planet.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah, should be fun.
that is great.
Yeah. What about you guys? You going anywhere?
Going to Ohio in April. I'm going to take Andy out to see my grandparents. I haven't seen my grandparents in 7 years.
Where in Ohio?
Canton, Ohio. And they've only met Andy once when he was a baby. They'd not met any of other kids. So I want to get out one more time before we're not able to. And then going to North Carolina for graduation in May.
That's right, baby.
Hey!
Woo! Dr. Burkholder.
Are you, Jared, are you going to be emotional?
You better.
Are you going to be like,
Crying?
Yeah.
this is significant? I'm saying, you know, it's a hurdle. It's a life marker.
Yeah.
So is it going to be like a little emotional?
I got an email from my prof this morning because I'd submitted final draft and he gave me 2 thumbs up and he's going to submit. So even that was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I did it. I mean, I still have to defend.
Yeah. Are there any guys in your cohort that are still up against the clock?
There was one, and like we've been doing regular Zoom calls to like, come on guys, we got this. We're close.
That is so stressful.
He'll do it. February 15th is deadline to submit, and then May 10th is graduation.
May 10th, yeah.
So tell me, have you started to plan yet? Like it's going to be you and Janelle, yeah?
Yeah.
And then are there spots? Because I'm not familiar with that part. Are there like spots to go? And are you going to make a thing out of it or you're fly out?
No, we're flying in Wednesday because rehearsal's Thursday, graduation Friday. We fly back Sunday, so we got a couple days.
Great.
That's nice.
Cool.
So we'll hang with some cohort guys. Hang
Yeah.
with some other people. Miller's going to be there.
Yeah.
My dad's coming up.
I'll make my way out there.
Mike and Abby Dixon are out there, so we'll hang with them a little bit. So it'll be fun.
That's super cool.
I'm just excited to get on the plane with no kids.
That's a thing, man.
So excited.
Woo, that's a thing. Remember walking through the airport for the first time when all of our kids, all 3 were under the age of 5. Ingrid and I were able to get away for a week and from at the time fly from North Carolina up to Coeur d'Alene, and just the feeling of freedom that I wasn't like getting all sweaty, getting car seats and strollers through security. It was just like, wow, this is what it's like. I forgot. So great.
You just have to change my own diaper on the flight is like, just that thought is incredible.
Dude, you want to know what somebody told me yesterday about the New Year's Eve thing?
They're all wearing diapers, bro.
We're all in diapers.
Yeah.
Because they're there 13 hours.
I just heard that. And you know those moments where like somebody tells you a piece of information that you never heard before and
That's
you're
the
like,
thing.
oh, like why did I not?
When they lock those gates,
Yeah.
You're in.
you're in like cattle.
That's
You're in.
amazing.
Yeah.
And now I had that kind of on my list of things that I would want to
How
do.
is that even
and now
enjoyable?
I'm not going to do that
Yeah, how is
anymore.
that even attractive?
I think you have to be inebriated.
Which lends itself to then more than one diaper.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Dude.
It's a multi-diaper sitch.
Listen, as a strategist and a guy who likes logistics, it's like that to me, like, I'm trying to think of like what Times Square looks like.
You know, you're standing for 4 or 5 plus hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
Jared,
know.
you went to a concert
I don't know if
recently.
that's my thing.
And
Stood
you
for 3 hours, yeah.
You stood for 3 hours.
Did
It's
you
like,
really?
Yeah, and then like limped out of there.
Yeah. Old man knees are
I mean, it's
setting.
like there were older people next to me, so I'm like, come on, Burkholder, you can do this.
runner's knees.
It's like when there's a younger kid next to me on a roller coaster. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it.
I remember
But
thinking
on the
that,
other end.
I remember feeling that downhill skiing. You know, you'd see
Right?
like a little 7-year-old. Yeah, it's fun.
It's like
I'm
a
like,
5-year-old.
jab you with my pole as you
Yeah.
go by. Goodness gracious. What about you, Joe? You traveling?
Yeah, I have some backpack stuff. I got the lottery for the Yosemite backpack trip for Noah, which I'm very excited
Oh,
about.
sweet.
Oh,
So I had this idea again, all these like things that you craft as a family, you know?
Mm.
And so it works for the first one and you're just you're like, man, I hope it works for the next one.
Yeah.
So I had this idea that when each of the children, so like about the junior high,
Yes.
try to take them internationally
Yes.
in their junior high years, and then when they graduate as a senior, that I do a one-on-one experiential trip with whoever's graduating.
Yeah.
And so the first one I did with Sam, where we did the famous hike between Tuolumne Meadows to the valley floor.
Yes.
So
yes.
that hike, it's like probably one of the top 5 best hikes in the nation. And so anyway, so we got the lottery for it. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do it again. And I got it. And what's so great about it is that I now get to have an opportunity to redeem my impending fear. Because last time I went, I got to, because you get a permit for Half Dome too. When you go there, and permits for Half Dome are hard to get, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm there at the face of Half Dome. I'm all prepared. I'm researched up. I'm ready to go. I get to the bottom of Half Dome. And Sam just goes up like a gazelle, just, and I get probably about, I don't know, maybe like a quarter, and I start to break out in sweats because heights is like not my thing. Not my thing. The cables are there, whatever. I'm like, and I went down the bottom. Like, then I went up, did it again. Nope. I was like, then I went down to the bottom. I'm like, I don't know. I literally got passed by, I think, like an 11-year-old girl. And I'm like, what's my copay? Like all those stuff. And then Sam was up there, and then he came down, and he literally came down like Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible. To get there. It's like, Dad, that was great. I go, I don't know, maybe I could come on, let's go. And I got to the same spot. I'm like, I don't think this is my thing. And I set one foot on the way down, and I regretted it. So every time I see North Face, I feel my own shame. Like I'm surrounded by every picture. No, think about this. I'm giving you a good gift that you don't have to make the same choice. Every single picture of Yosemite has Half Dome in it. So I'm regularly reminded of my weakness and fear. I told Heidi 2 days ago, I go, I don't care if I come home in a body bag. I'm going to the top of that thing because I can't face it anymore. It surrounds me every day.
This might be the time to Xanax your way to the top. You
No,
know what I
but
mean?
here's the best part. Here's the best part. When I tell that story, right? Because it comes up and then somebody noticed that I chickened out and I didn't do it. Then all of a sudden, everybody starts telling their stories of how they all did it. So there are all these different people in my ABF that have done it, that are many years older, many years younger, And so I'm like, no, dude, I'm doing it. So
Did you ever watch that documentary of that guy that free climbed the face of that rock?
yeah,
What was the name of that?
Free
Yeah.
solo.
Free solo.
I've never been so anxious while sitting still in
Really?
my life. That was
I didn't
overwhelming.
I didn't like it.
I
I
agree.
didn't like it.
No, I didn't
bothered
like
me.
it.
It bothered me. It bothered me because I didn't care. Like when he was when he was there, by the time he did it, I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care if that guy dies.
No,
man.
I didn't. No.
I totally thought
no,
that's how it was going to
Not
end.
a soul.
Because no, thank you, Jared. I heard that. Thank you. Hashtag outreach. Hashtag neighboring.
Not the image you got on that guy, am I right? Self-fire.
No, what I'm saying is that there was no purpose in it. Like with Mark Hunold, if you start listening to him talk, that there's no drive to it. there's no purpose to it. He's like, well, why do you do it? He's like, I don't know, I just do it. He even said on the documentary, he goes, I don't really care if I live or die.
Well, there was clearly something wrong with that guy. But
No, that's what I'm saying. Like when he starts talking, you're just like, why?
that qualifies for a lot of things in life, though, for sure.
So
In
where
terms
others
of-
would have responded like with compassion, you were like apathy.
No. And no,
I
I
get it.
wasn't.
Yeah, I
I
get
wasn't. And again, the problem is that you would have heard if he didn't make it.
well, that's how I thought it was going to end.
So I knew.
In the end, it was going to go dark, and it was like one line of an explanation, and he fell out of our lives forever.
I knew. I knew he was going to make it. 2, when he got to the top, I'm like, what did you do?
How did you know how did you know that he was going to make it?
I'm just telling you, you have to be living under a rock, no pun intended, not to have heard if the guy from Free Solo making a movie fell and died to his death.
I guess I live under a rock. I did not know this guy's name. I knew nothing of this guy's story. I just saw it on Netflix. I pressed play. I'm like, let's see what happens.
All that being said, I know he's an image bearer, Jared, but, the...
Jiminy Cricket on the shoulder here.
By the way, Joe, you have a calling in the gospel. He has value. Yes,
I think
he
this would
does
be a
have
great
value.
chance actually to exposit the Great Commission. So if you could, go in your Bibles to...
So, of course, being who I am, I went down the rabbit's hole and I watched them all. So the best one, if you have not seen Dawn Wall, you need to watch it tonight. It's fantastic. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. And then
I don't do documentaries.
And the other
Do you
one.
not?
Oh, really?
Why not?
Because I live in the world. I want to your point earlier, I would like to not be in the world when I'm watching TV.
Well,
Oh.
I think I understand that. But there are times where I like the reality of it.
Oh, I think truth is stranger than fiction. I can't get enough of it. But Heidi doesn't like documentaries necessarily. I mean, she'll watch them, but she's not like, oh, let's watch a documentary. I'm like, hey, seen that one. But Dawn Wall, it is a remarkable story and it's well told. And then the other one, which is also worth watching, is Valley Rising. So the triad is Valley Rising, Dawn Wall, and then Free Solo. That's like the triad.
You guys seen Deadliest Catch?
Yeah,
Oh, buddy.
I love Deadliest
2010 is calling.
Catch. Goodness.
Why don't you like documentaries? You like stories. You like people's, retelling of things. Actually, that really surprises me knowing you. I thought you...
Same with biographies. I don't like biographies.
Interesting.
Oh my word.
Oh, wow.
That's like
I'd rather
that's
do
like
it
all
brief.
I
Are
read.
you guys friends?
That's all I read.
We
are
are
friends.
friends.
We are friends.
Because for me, that is a form of escaping reality. I'm stepping into someone else's shoes and perspective, and I'm walking that.
I think I feel accountable for people's stories, and I don't want to feel accountable for somebody's story that I'm never going to see.
Heavy.
Wow. Look at you.
This week for Heavy.
That's very
with
philosophical.
Jared.
Deep thoughts.
It's funny for me, the documentary, it's not necessarily what it's about, it's how it's shot. And I'm like, I'm already bored. This has been done before. Next.
No. I watch so many documentaries that I can tell whether or not that's a good documentary within the first 5 minutes.
Me too.
Because of how it's shot.
Do you know it wasn't until I moved to Southern California that all that you're describing and talking to, I never considered before? Because I guess I'm just a Neanderthal when it comes to certain...
No, we're from the East Coast, and that.
Well, did you
It's
notice
a
how it was
fantasy
shot?
land.
I'm like, I don't care how it was shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Once that curtain was lifted,
Yep.
then I began to think in those
Oh.
those ways. Of course, I appreciated how certain scenes were shot. I just didn't think about it. I just enjoyed it. It wasn't until I moved into the TMZ, the 30 Mile Zone, where people actually had opinions about, the craft and this and that. I'm like, yeah, back east, no one cares. They just want to be entertained.
It's like they did a shoot here, 5 years ago? And I never
Yeah,
realized
yeah.
how much went into it. I mean, it was like,
No kidding.
yeah.
it was 500 people who came, and
Right.
semi upon semi
Yeah.
upon semi. It blew my mind.
That was a kind of a baptism of an experience for Jared and I moving out here. Everyone assumes that that's something that's in the, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really is a company town. Like
Yeah.
it's very one-dimensional that way. With other places like on the East Coast, there are other industries and there are other ways in which, like, whether it be academics or
I know how
science
steel's
or
made.
art.
I'll tell you that.
No, yeah, right.
Well, now that Hollywood
Yeah.
is kind of dispersed to places like Atlanta or New Orleans, that's starting to develop elsewhere in the country. But, growing up as a kid, I never had Disney fever. I didn't understand the nuances of film or anything like that until I moved out here. It just had not occurred to me.
I mean, do you appreciate it now? I mean,
I do. But I would never not pay attention to a story in a film because of how it was shot. Like, that's not in the way for me. For someone who's as creative as you and your brother's the same way, I can see how that would be a block. That would be like, look, I can't even... I would do this better. And if that's in my mind, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
You know
better.
what? You know what's really fun to develop that is to watch movies without sound.
Interesting. Well, I guess so, right?
No,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
it's really fantastic. So if you would watch a film without sound and you think in terms of storyboard and how each shot, especially the early Steven Spielberg stuff, which is like the master of the one camera lock, you watch him tell the story through particular images, and you actually can pick up the storyline through the connected images. And so if you watch it, it's really fun. So just pick a movie and then watch it without the sound on, and you'll kind of begin to see all of those things that maybe you would be distracted by audio or whatever.
Interesting.
Hey, by the way, hard pivot. Can I ask you a question?
Mm.
I am curious, you were asking about 2024 and different kinds of questions that you were asking about, like what do you think about resolutions or where you're traveling? What are some of the things that kind of came to you during the break where you had a moment just to think, oh, you know what? This is something that I'm seeing or desiring or looking for.
For me, it was thinking, because I'm hoping to take a sabbatical this year, and the details
Proposal pending.
Indeed, proposal pending.
Mhm.
But we're
It's a vigorous process.
it really is.
The hazing is insane.
I don't know.
Every time I think it's probably like maybe like once a month, like, hey, I got to get that proposal to you, Joe. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem.
I don't know. I always think through like how we could continue to gel better as a team.
Mhm.
Ways to do that out of the office context. Invite one another into our lives and to share and to get to know one another better. That's always something that is somewhere there, but for this year became more front and center for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've even mentioned this from stage a couple times. I think an overwhelming sense of how much safety and security I derive from my own control and how much the Lord loves to upend that. And so just desperately need to spend a lot more time in prayer. And I think practically, emotionally, aspirationally to find a greater sense of security in what the Lord provides than in what I provide for my family and myself. So I think a continued awareness of weakness and an active expression of dependence. And I think not just ideologically. I'm there ideologically. I've been there for a couple of years, but I think that needs to translate then to how I live my life in a bigger way.
I reflected quite often on that home is not a place, it's a person. And even too, that book you recommended, just how to think about time and being present. And that's been a really great reflection. And even too, what we're doing in chapel about Ecclesiastes, just that sense of presence and time, enjoyment of Jesus, right?
My wife identified for me, which was helpful. She remarked about how people here have changed me, over time, just through a relationship, thinking about who we were back east, and then through our time here at Grace and the friendships and the ministry relationships. She said, "Oh, you are now a summation of these people."
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," which was encouraging.
Yeah.
She gave some specifics about how that was true, and now that she put that in my headspace, it's kind of like I'm beginning to see oh, I am truly a little bit of Joe. I'm a little bit of Jared. I'm a little bit of Dave and Ryan and Dave and all the people I do life and ministry with. Which is, I just think it's a compliment, and it's a beautiful weaving and knitting together of people.
Indeed.
Yeah, and the longer Alan's here, I'm starting to notice that, it's so that's how the team thing came to more of a forefront of my thinking. And it's professional. It is the ministry we do. It is what we do. But it is also, in that regard, because of what my wife identified, it is who we are.
Yeah.
Not only what we do, but who we are. And so for me, those lines are really blurred many times. I fight to keep them separate for the sake of sanity, but
There's this wonderful blessing of actually modeling and experiencing what we're trying to mobilize in ministry. Those moments don't happen in an agenda. They happen as a turn of phrase or a comment or a book you're reading or a story that's told or a joke that you both laugh at. It's those things that stick with you, and then you end up journaling about them, like a turn of phrase or a way that I watched maybe one of you interact with someone who is a stranger or trying to wrestle through something or what somebody's excited about. They're embodiments of what it means to follow Jesus in ways that are other than me, but yet the same. And people tease me a lot about how I talk sometimes, or these like
Who does?
oddball. I know, stop it. These like oddball things that they're like, where in the world did you like? I just think the sum total of who I am. I don't think I've ever had like an original thought in my life. It's everything that I have is just organizing or puzzle piecing things that have been gifted to me.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is that you put them together, and the next time you come back, you can't remember how they were put together, but rather they're just a part of you. That has just been such an incredible relief.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if it's easier for guys like, you, me, Jared, you, and Joe, versus like Dave. I think of you and your brother, and you've lived in this town your whole life. And so for me, I had a hard beginning point here. And so I set at it, and that's true for Jared and for Joe in many ways at Grace. It was just a hard start, right? And we had to make it work relationally. We had to integrate our family life into it. You came at it from a different angle, which is you've always been here.
In a sense, I kind of jumped around Southern California through my missionary work.
But you had these relationships ever since high school. I'm thinking of the Nolan Caldwells and the Landon Lamasses.
But that was some of the harder part of us coming back. Those people left.
Is that right? Okay, yeah.
And so it was like, all my people I grew up with, some of the people who came to Grace here did go to Cal Poly, where I went to school, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So those were the connections from Grace that I already had, and they made it back here too. But the people, when I came back, I was like, I don't know most of you, really, or I don't recognize this new church.
Yeah.
I've been gone for how many other years?
Oh, that's interesting.
So that was a harder way
it
was harder for us coming back to make relationships because we had been gone for so long. Steph had kind of been here, right, throughout her thing. And then, she left for San Diego with me. That was one of our conversations, like, how do we make friends again, coming back at a different stage of life where I knew you in high school, now you have 3 kids. And like much of life has passed between us. So
has it been about 10 years now?
2015, we came back to Santa Clarita and then Grace.
Okay, less than 10.
Which I don't know how, is that 8?
Yeah.
It's our own story, but yeah. I'm glad I have friends here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her. It's like a gift.
I mean, because the men in this room, plus others that aren't on this podcast, have done a lot to shape who my wife was describing. And you all are a part of that. And that's why I was curious for you, because you did have those high school relationships that had their own reset at college, and they got married and they had kids, and then they all came back together.
Yeah. Like, where have you been?
To be part of a spiritual family together. And that, that's its own restart in many ways.
It's different than coming in cold, like from the East Coast, where like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I have no family here.
Yeah.
And I'm making friendships who are my family. And
just had to describe the other day to a social worker, kind of our support network. And every time I have a chance to step back, it's overwhelming to think I'm 2,500 miles away from family. And yet this is the greatest family and friend group I've ever experienced. And I'm like the kind of guy where like, I'll make friends anywhere. I had great friends in Mexico. I had great friends in Pennsylvania. I had great friends in North Carolina. At every stage, it felt like these are the best friends I'll ever have. And it certainly feels that way now. And so I think even being away from you all for 2.5 weeks, just like, man, we got something really, really good here. And not just on staff, certainly on staff, but I feel that way on Sundays. Now having been here 10 years, you being here 12 or 13, just walking around and like, this is my family. These are my people. I know them, they know me. And there's something, for me, this is the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my life. Yeah. There's something so stinking beautiful about that.
Guys, I love doing ministry with you. Love doing life. It's true for the other brothers that are in this room. Joe, you about to leave?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to roll. Thanks for the invite.
Is that how we're going to end? I mean, I was going to have like
your
a poetic.
Your Burger King just showed up outside?
I was going to have like
I really appreciate
Love you, Joe.
Warm hugs. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, man.
See ya.
So we're not going to invite him back, right? Is that kind of the
I heard that.
takeaway there?
No, guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, folks, this is actually the official kickoff of season 5 of Magnify. One thing we're doing a little bit differently this season is we will be dropping episodes every other week. So every 2 weeks, you'll be getting a new episode, and we're going to carry that and wrap it around the entirety of the year of 2024. So you can be anticipating Magnify episodes, articles, and other content for the sake of just knitting us together as a body. We love you, and here's to 2024 by the grace of God. Thanks for streaming. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to Magnify Podcast so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review. We would love to hear from you, so if you have any questions you'd like to ask in our mailbag, you can email them to magnify@gracebaptist.org, and we will answer them on the show. Thank you so much for streaming.